What's up, everybody? Pat Flynn here, and welcome to Let Go Day. This is Let Go Day 2014. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to ask a question or if you want to chat about this or whatever, there's a chat box that you can go to right now at letgoday.com. If you're there right now, thank you so much. Let's say hi to some of the people on here. And actually, just let me know that you're watching and also tell me where you're from. I'd love to know that you're here celebrating with me today. Liz says, finally it is here again. It's like waiting for the World Cup to start. Did you see the World Cup yesterday? US versus Ghana. Oh, I was like screaming. It was awesome. But today is more exciting because it is Let Go Day, which marks the 6th year anniversary of me getting laid off. And that was an event that started a whole string of other events and a whole string of other fears and things I had to bust through to get to where I'm at today. And I wanted to just invite you on here. You don't have to stay the whole time, but I would love to share this experience with you. Tell some stories. I have some guests coming on later, and it's just gonna be a great time. I'm gonna give you a tour of my new office. I haven't shared any pictures of anybody's. I haven't shared any pictures of the new office yet. It might be weird the way I'm set up now. You'll see this table that I'm on with my laptop, and I have to keep not looking this way, and I'll show you what is over here. But I put the camera there right now, and we'll move to a different location later in the broadcast today. Let's see, we got Timothy from Owasso, Oklahoma. What's up, Timothy? Dude, it's always good to see you. Ace Productivity, it's a great podcast. Check Timothy out there. Let's see, Melissa, Jonathan says, happy Let Go Day. Thank you guys again. Make sure you use the hashtag Let Go Day. You can chat with each other in there, or you can actually, I'm using a tool to keep track of the hashtag, which might be easier for you and actually easier to converse with people. If you go to tchat.io, if you go there and then just enter the hashtag Let Go Day, you'll see what I'm seeing. I'm using a screen that's going to help me keep track of the conversation, be able to more easily respond and answer questions, and it's just a great way to see all the conversations that are going on. Let's see, Mike Sheffield says, I'm working on my own Let Go Day. Michał, I know how to pronounce that, Michał, which is almost spelled like Michael without the E. He's from Poland, and he says, finally, nice new office. Greetings from Poland. Derek says, let it go, which are the lyrics from Frozen. So I've been getting a lot of jokes about that lately, about the movie Frozen, which I've seen over a dozen times. But wanted to just thank you again for coming on today and celebrate. We're just going to have a good time. If you have any questions you'd like for me to answer, this is going to be sort of like a giant party celebration. There's going to be giveaways. It's a Q&A session. If you have anything, you don't have to ask me about anything even business related. It could be about anything. But again, I'm so glad you're here. Now, you might notice this t-shirt. This is one of the Ask Pat t-shirts. This gets sent out to anybody whose question gets featured on AskPat.com. my new podcast, which is doing really well, actually. It's approaching 1.3 million downloads, and I have you all to thank for that, because that show obviously wouldn't be possible without the people sending in questions. And I've actually had a lot of people ask about how that all works and how I'm able to create another show on top of the show I have, plus the blog and things like that. And I'm going to go over that in just a bit, but I do want to tell you about the theme of today's Let Go Day. I almost said Let It Go Day, but the theme of today's Let Go Day. And before I get to that, I want to say hi to Paula, Liao, or Lalo, Adam, Janal, Joe. Thank you guys so much. A lot of you are waking up either early or staying up late for this. I know some of you across the pond are doing that, and I appreciate it so much. Again, if you're tired, you can go to bed. It's totally fine. I'm not going to force you to be here, and I'm not going to pitch anything. So don't feel like you're going to miss out on anything. And yes, a replay will be available, but I'd love for you to participate and just hang out with us and all have fun. I'm curious, actually, I did this whole setup with the tweets, using a tweet chat box to actually help launch the Smart Podcast Player, which actually launched last week, and it sold out. The 250 beta licenses sold out in under 24 hours, which was so amazing. But a funny thing that happened when I had this whole setup, it was set up exactly like on the live page right now at letgoday.com. A bunch of spam tweets started coming in, which meant that there was some publicity coming in from everybody tweeting about it and using the hashtag. So it was really cool, and I'm going to do a roundup post on that launch and everything that I think we did right and things that went really well, and then everything that I think we could have done better. That'll help you launch your own product as well, and including everything on how to set up the live page and the Google Hangout and stuff like that. Let's see. Jason says, congrats from Florida. Christina, happy Let Go Day. Congratulations. Thank you. H.E. Lee says, what industries are you from? That's a great question. If you want to share with everybody out there, just use the hashtag Let Go Day. Just share kind of what industry you're in, or what it is that you do, or how would you describe yourself? How about that? Describe yourself in 140 characters. Well, minus the hashtag Let Go Day. And I'd love for everybody to introduce themselves. Sarah says, just had a 1-year anniversary on June 7th of leaving corporate world for self-employment. Sarah, awesome. Congratulations to you. Now let me go into today's theme. I like to create a theme on Let Go Day, something that you could think about and take away from everything. This year, it's don't wait to create. It's kind of clever because it rhymes, but more than that, it's about actually making stuff. And that's something I've been doing a great job of. My team and I have been doing a great job of, and the guests I'm going to have on today have been doing a great job of, are just making things happen. Because the truth is, you could listen to all the podcasts you want, you could read all the blogs in the world, you could read as many books as you want, and until you actually make stuff, nothing is going to happen. You actually have to make, and by making something, I also mean completing it, getting to a point where you can ship. That's also really important. How many of us, and I can include myself in this, how many of us are working on several different things at the same time, and none of those things are complete? I always like to say that even 90% of a project that you're working on is 0% to the prospective customer, or to your reader, or to your subscriber. And it's until you ship, until you make something. That's how you make something happen. So that's today's theme, and that's what we're going to talk about. The guests who come on, we're going to talk about some of the cool things that they've built or created or done for themselves over the past year. As you know, or as many of you may know, there's a lot of things that I've been doing lately. The Smart Passive Income iOS application came out a couple weeks ago. The Smart Podcast Player came out last week. Just a bunch of things are happening, and it's hard. It's hard to sit down and actually do something, and especially when you know that, or especially when you don't know what might happen after you create it, right? Not talking about marketing or anything like that, but just the interesting thing about entrepreneurship, as opposed to working a 9-to-5 job and working in corporate America, is when you're working on something, you're not necessarily getting paid at that very moment for that work that you're doing. In a 9-to-5 job, you work 8 hours, you get paid 8 hours. You work overtime, you get paid that overtime. When you're an entrepreneur and you're creating, which is again the theme of today, you're not going to see those results right away. And a lot of times you're going to want to give up. And even once that thing is done, when you put it out there, it's scary. So I remember when I created my ebook at greenexamacademy.com and I put it out there for the world, it was like 2 in the morning, so I put it out there and nothing happened. And I didn't expect anything to happen once I did that, because it was 2 in the morning. People weren't going to buy study guides at 2 in the morning for this exam. But then I woke up to go on the train and head on over to Irvine and to my job, and in the last week of my job actually, and still nobody bought. So I just thought, wow, all that work I did, the 3 months of prep, the 3 months, even before that, the year and a half of building an audience and building traffic was all for nothing. But then at around 8:30 a.m. when I got into the office, and this was like, again, the final days of me actually having a job, a sale came in, and it was the coolest feeling in the world. So I also want to make sure that in addition to creating something, you really work toward that first customer, that first sale. There's a story that Stu tells, and I'll look for a story. I'll look for a video on Stu McLaren from Wishlist, WP Wishlist. He's one of the co-founders. He tells an amazing story about his first sale. So I'm going to look for that, and I'll share that with you on Twitter or on Facebook. It's just actually made me tear up when I first heard him tell this story, and I'm going to not spoil it for you. Now, let's see. There's a lot of things going on in my business right now, and you're starting to finally see a lot of those things come into the public eye. The iOS application, the all the redesign changes that you've seen over the past year, the Smart Podcast Player. There's also a lot of other cool things that are in the pipeline as well. And it's hard, going back to what I was talking about earlier. I had worked on those things for so long, and I didn't see anything as a result. And only finally now, after finishing and then launching and marketing those products, am I finally seeing results. Now, finishing is another thing. A lot of us work on something, and how do we know when it's done? So in terms of creation, that's a very important thing to understand, is when is done. And it's really interesting because as entrepreneurs, we have this problem of understanding when things are complete and ready to be shipped, right? We want to make everything perfect, especially if we've been working on it ourselves. But there's something to be said for just putting something out there and working on, making it perfect later. That's why the beta launch of the Smart Podcast Player was a beta launch. We only launched to 250 people, and there's been a number of people who emailed me after who said, Pat, I want to get my hands on it, but it's sold out. Can you just let me get a copy? I want to be part of the program, but we got to be strict on that number, and it's because we want to keep a nice focused group to help take this product, which works, it provides value, and you always want to create something that works and provides value, but it's not everything that we had envisioned the player to be yet. There are so many other features that we want to add in there, but it just wouldn't make sense to put all of them in, and we're not exactly sure if that's what everybody wants. So that's why launching with a MVP, or a minimum viable product, was really important for us. And then we're working closely with the people in there. There's actually been a few bugs that people have found, which have been great, because it's sort of like a testing group of 250 people. But we're very clear with all those users that that was a beta group. And so let's see, we got some more tweets coming in. High Tech Geek says, perfectionism is my downfall. I actually think that's a very, very just powerful thing to understand, that perfection is a downfall. I also think it's an excuse, because we're scared. We're scared to create. And for those of you who've read Let Go, you understand that there were several points in time, not only right when I got laid off, but moments after that, as I was creating, I got scared and I wanted to give up. And there were a lot of factors involved with keeping me going, and also helping me understand that I didn't need to be perfect as well. And I got to tell you, the doubts, the resistance, that will always come. That will always come. It still comes to me every single day. I almost didn't launch the Smart Podcast Player because I was too scared of launching a software product and getting customer service emails and just disappointing people. But I just did it anyway, and it's been great. It's been great so far, because I was honest and upfront with people that there might be bugs and things like that, and that's again why we did the version, the beta version that we did. Let's see. Andre, oh gosh, I am butchering your name. I'm sorry. Andrzej. I love this. I love this tweet. He says, #LetGoDay. One guy stands and talks to a camera, and people from the entire globe watch and learn in the process. I love internet. I love internet too. Isn't this crazy? Like, this is amazing. You can affect and change the whole world. I mean, I'm here at my home office, and again, I'll give you a tour after I have some special guests coming in a minute. But you can literally change people's lives, and you won't know that you can do that until you create. So don't wait to create. Okay, so some more tweets. Runner Academy, or @Runner Academy, says, happy anniversary, cheers to many more years of success. Thank you so much, and back to you as well. Let's see, the OO sisters, or the OO sisters, they say, wow, this is so exciting. Hi from Olympia, Washington. That's so cool. Wisdom of Prophet says, my I Got Can Day was the best day ever. Right? It's scary when you think about it. Like, you have something that feels so secure and is providing you an income, and you know that income is coming. But at the same time, how long do you know it's coming for? I mean, that was a big thing for me when I got into entrepreneurship. And the reason why I did it was because I was just so mad at the fact that I had done everything right up to that point, and then I still got let go. Even the words they said right before they said, Pat, we have to let you go, they said, Pat, you're the youngest and brightest guy we have in the firm. We have to let you go. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. And so now I'm just creating for myself. I'm building my own future, and I know you guys are doing the same for yourself too. I mean, you wouldn't be here, obviously. And even if you still have a 9-to-5 job, I'm just so happy that you're here. So I'm really happy to welcome, in 15 minutes, we're going to be chatting with my buddy Cliff Ravenscraft. You might see him on the lower right-hand side of your screen there. What's up, Cliff? I'll get you on in 15 minutes. Thank you again for joining me early and for celebrating Let Go Day with me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to talk about some of the cool things that you've done and created, and also some of the things that you took away to be able to create more of. So we'll talk about that in 15 minutes. But I do want to do our first giveaway. Like I said, there's going to be some giveaways. I have a timeline here right in front of me, and I have some giveaways for you. The first one is actually for everybody. So this is a giveaway for everybody. And it's not just like, oh, here's a free tip or something like that. No, this is something that costs money to get, but you can have it for free. A lot of you know I released Let Go, my book, on the Snippet app, which is an iOS application. I believe an Android version has come out or is coming out soon. That enabled me to tell my story of how I got let go and how I let go of the fears that I was presented with in order to get to where I'm at today. This is it enabled me to tell that story in a way that I couldn't tell anywhere else, with video, with images, with audio, more than just text. And that's why I went with first publishing on the Snippet app. Now, I do want to give you a coupon code to go and download Let Go for completely free. So you can go, you have to download the Snippet app on your iPad or on your iPhone and use the 100% off discount code, which is good until the end of today for everybody. You can share this. I don't care. It's not about the money for me. The book did really well on Snippet app. It's still the #1 downloaded book on the platform. But I want to get this in front of you and any friends that you want to give it away to. I think it inspires people, and that's why I want to share it with you. So that code is Let Go Forever. So if you go to Snippet app, you download it, use the code Let Go Forever. That'll enable you to download that book for free. So I'll remind you later in the show for that. But I think there might be some special guests in the door behind me. Let me check. I have these really long cords, so hopefully that will. Nope, it's not going to reach. Hold on. My headphones can reach, but not my mic. You can come in. Okay, cool. So I have some special guests I want to share with you. My family! This is like a tradition on Let Go Day to share just the family with you guys. I mean, I had them on last year. It was really cool. So come over here, Kai. So the camera's actually right here. I know it's in a weird spot. But this is my wife, April, my just support for everything. I mean, she's been amazing at helping to keep me motivated and just to help the family by watching the kids, which is like the hardest job in the world, and especially our kids. And so this is April. This is Kailani. She is almost 2 now. Matt, my producer, is telling me that snippets can be read on the web now. So even if you don't have an iOS app of some sort, you can use the code Let Go Forever and read and watch and listen to Let Go on the web. Hey, Keone, come here, bud. So I just want to share the family with you guys. This is Keone. He's so big now. Look, he's like bigger. You can't even see his head anymore. This is his head right here. So we have Adam says, #family first. Absolutely. Wisdom of the Prophet says, woohoo, all the Flynns. And this is so cool. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching. This is my family. And what is Kai doing? Can you dance, Kai? No. Okay. Yes, you can. Keone, do you have anything to say to everybody out there listening? Let's see. You're pretty good on the mic, right? Say something. What are some words of wisdom for everybody out there listening and watching?
I don't know.
I don't know. Are you going to start a podcast one day?
You're crazy.
What? He said you're crazy. Okay, thanks, bud. I appreciate that. How about Kai? Kai is starting to talk a lot. Here, Kai. Whoa. Kai, can you say something to everybody out there? Say happy Let Go Day.
Happy day.
She said happy birthday, I think.
I want to say something.
You can say something? Here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
You say thank you. No, don't
Thank
open
you.
your mouth.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to say hi?
Hi. I'm making sure she doesn't fall off the tube.
Thank you. Where did my thing go? I had a magnet that held this up. Anyway.
It's down there.
Oh, is it? Oh, thanks, bud.
It fell.
How about Gizmo? Where's Gizmo?
On the floor.
Here, let me grab the other one. Our first son, Gizmo.
No! I want to say hi to everybody on that. Can you sit, Kai?
Okay, you can. Let's see. Come here, bud. And this is Gizmo.
I can't see.
Whoa.
I can't see.
He is the original baby of the family. You guys having fun? Whoa, 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 whoa. Careful, that chair spins. Some chairs spin.
Can I see? I can't see.
No, the camera's right here, bud. See, look.
I can't see anybody. I want to see myself.
Hey, it's almost nap time, right?
I want to see myself.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. You know, when kids get involved, it gets crazy. You never know what happens. Okay. Just a couple more minutes. Whew. Let's see. Again, this is why I do what I do, for the family and to be with the family. I'm so lucky that I'm able to just work from home and do what I do to be able to watch them grow. I've been able to witness all their firsts, which I'm just so blessed for. And you know, this one's going to school, and that's going to change everything. I mean, we're going to be going on his schedule. It's going to be crazy because we won't be able to like go on vacations whenever. It's all based on him now. You know, it's not based on us who we don't work 9 to 5, but it's based on the kids now, which is crazy. Darlene says, "Happy Let Go Day. I'm going to leave my job at the end of the year." Congratulations, Darlene. Timothy says, "You should collect Keone quotes for Ask Pat Words of Wisdom." We should, although they wouldn't make much sense. Okay. Thank you, honey. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye, Kai.
See you night night.
Kai, kiss. Oh, yeah. Okay.
She's gonna cry.
She'll cry, I know.
So bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I'm not leaving, I'm staying. So, thank you, honey.
Bye-bye.
Gizmo, out. Cool, so that's my family. That's awesome. Let's see. Kelly asks, what kind of dog is Gizmo? He's actually a Maltese, which is interesting. He's actually a lot bigger than a Maltese, but Malteses traditionally they have that like they look like mops, right? Super long white straight hair. That's how they have them at the dog shows. But we're like, no, we don't want that. That'll get dirty, and we already have a mop, and so so he's a Maltese, and he's actually like bigger than normal. So just a few more minutes here until we get to Cliff, and you know, Cliff was on with us last year, and it's really cool for those of you who were on last year, it'd be really cool to hear his story and see what he's been up to. And he's, you know, I know what he's been up to. Cliff and I are in a mastermind group together, and he's got some amazing stuff going on. So okay, let's see, 1:30. Yep. Cliff comes in. Again, that coupon code for the Snippet app, whether you download it on the web or on your iOS application, is Let Go Forever. And you could leave a like on there if you want. Doesn't matter. I just want you to have that story in your hands, and you know, it's short, easy read, and a watch, I guess you could say, because it's multimedia. Oh, Keone left his Legos here. Legos are the most amazing thing in the world. There is no toy that, you know, it's just so cool. I mean, my son is all over these, and I think Cliff, I want to ask you about that, because I think your son is like in a Lego league or something, or he did that for a while. I want to get more information about that, because Keone would be all over some sort of Lego league, and you know, it's cool for social aspects as well. But anyway, Legos are awesome, and actually there are some cool Legos I want to show you. Actually, let me give you the tour. Let me give you the tour of the office before we start talking to Cliff here in 5 minutes. So I'm going to take the camera, and unfortunately I don't have a super long cord, but I'm going to hopefully give you a nice little tour of the new office. And for those of you who might not remember, I started in the kitchen of my one-bedroom apartment. You know, that's where it all kind of went down. There's a video actually way back in the day from 2009 showing you what my office looked like, and I called that video the office of a six-figure businessman or something like that, and it was literally me just walking into my kitchen, and then there's a little niche in the corner. And the whole point of that was just to show you don't need a fancy office. You just need to take action. It doesn't matter where you're at, as long as you have a little bit of time, or give yourself a little bit of time. You can make amazing things happen. And then from there, I had my old office in the older house that I had, that I was renting, which I finally had my own room, which is nice. And then now, you know, upgrading into the new house, I was hired an interior designer to help make it exactly what I wanted it to be. So let's check this out. I'm gonna pull up the camera here, and I apologize for the shakiness. I know some of you might get sick or something from this, but let me show you the primary desk. Oh, actually, yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. But this is the primary location, and I wish I could just zoom out here. Actually, let me take this off I was using a GorillaPod. You can see the GorillaPod right there. But this is my main desk and area here in the corner of the room. And if you look up, you'll be able to see some floating bookshelves with some books on them. Some of my favorite books. So you can see here, Tribe, Seth Godin, Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, 4 Hour Books by Tim Ferriss, and a bunch of other books there as well. There's Platform by Michael Hyatt, Made to Stick, which is probably my all-time favorite book. And I got a couple of Virtual Freedom books from Chris Ducker as well. And then I have another set of books up there too. And then some cameras. I'm still trying to figure out what to use for decor on the top shelf. I don't have anything yet. I still need to touch up some of the paint, obviously. And then if I go back over here, so just to give you some context, there's my computer, and I have this super long desk, and I really love this. These are my outlets. So these are USB and wall plugs, which is awesome. And this one right here, I think just this one charges my phone in about 30 minutes completely. Some stuff over here, and then I can't pull the camera anymore. Actually, this chair's in the way. So over here, I have a seating area. So this is a nice little lounge space where I can go to, if I want to sit and be comfortable. I do most of my work standing up, which is pretty cool, but I can sit here, or maybe if people come over, we can just have a nice little conversation, and that'll be awesome. I'm sad that I don't have artwork up yet or things that are going to be on the wall. You'll actually see some sconces there hanging from the wall, which are really cool and industrial looking. In between those will probably be some sort of acoustical canvas, so a canvas with art on it that absorbs sound and keeps it from reflecting back to my microphone. So that'll help. And then on this wall here, gosh, it's like opposite. On this wall here, there's going to be a large acoustical panel that I'll be able to tack my thank you notes on. So I get a number of thank you cards in the mail, which I love. It's like my all-time favorite thing, and I'm like talking with my hands right now, which looks kind of funny. But I want to put them up here on the wall. I have them in a shoebox right now, but I want to pin them up, and then it'd be a nice background for the camera. So this is a sort of sit down area, and like I said, I don't work here very often, but I do work in this spot here, which is a stand-up desk that is permanently put in the middle. So there's a stand-up desk. You can see the legs there. A long desk where I'm working. That's where you saw me just a second ago. And then right here is a television that I can use to AirPlay whatever's on my laptop or whatever's on my computer. I can watch some World Cup on it. I can even do Skype conversations on there as well, which is really cool. Some drawers underneath that. This is cool actually. My podcast mic, I have it set up so it's like literally drilled into the. There's a hole drilled into my countertop to just put that in, because the connector for the Heil is just terrible, and so I didn't even know that there wasn't really a good spot to put it, so I had them drill a hole, and it works out perfectly. And then on the other side, there is a space kind of just like the one where my computer was from before, and then up here, you'll be able to see some of the track lighting. You'll see just a row of display. And over here, you'll see some Back to the Future Lego set, a Back to the Future DeLorean Lego set. All right, and that's the quick tour. I mean, there's other stuff that's going to be put in here over time, but I'm going to move back to my desk here and sit down because I want to give the mic over to Cliff and have him come on. So let me see if I can get this on. And I'm going to bring this. Cool. Let me read some tweets while I'm shifting over. Adam says, okay, I'm going to need to move my chair up a little. Adam says, stand-up desks rule. I built mine via ideahackers.net. That sounds pretty cool. So check that out, ideahackers.net. We have our next giveaway in 15 minutes, but for right now, I want to welcome one of my best friends online, Cliff Ravenscraft. Cliff, welcome to Let Go Day 2014. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Pat. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Perfectly, actually.
I love it.
So, Cliff, you have a lot going on right now. Can you tell everyone sort of what the cool things that are happening in your life right now?
Oh, man. Well, right now I am literally, I think it's just been 2 weeks ago, we closed on a brand new home, and my wife and I are getting things moved in, and as we speak, I've got the ADT security guys are hooking up the alarm system and all that good jazz. And like you, I'm sitting in a brand new office space that is much bigger than what I started out with as well, and so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, we started out in a home that was 1,200 square feet, and I am now in a new home where the basement of my home is all 100% my business, and the basement alone is 1,200 square feet. So my business literally is the size of my old house.
That's crazy. That is so awesome, Cliff. Now, last time we had you on, we talked about your story and how you got started. You were in insurance, and you went through a couple years of just not really knowing what you were going to do for income, and you decided to go full force with podcasting, and that changed everything for you. It started with the show Lost. You actually created a fan podcast for Lost, which then took off. People just loved you and your personality, and you started creating more shows, and that eventually led to one of the many shows that you do now, Podcast Answer Man. Can you tell us, to date, how many episodes, or if you even know how many hours of airtime you have doing podcasts, what are those numbers like right now?
Sure. Well, since December 2005, I've produced 30 different podcasts, and most of them have more than 100 episodes. One of them has 500. I just recorded my 575th episode of Pursuing a Balanced Life. And let's see here. So far, I've done over 3,220 episodes, and most of my episodes are about an hour long. So well over 3,000 hours of my voice online.
That is crazy. I'm curious to know, like, in downloads, how many hours that is. I think I calculated one time the downloads for Smart Passive Income and how many hours that was, and it was literally, it was the equivalent of one person in the year 1412 or something listening to my voice for 24/7 until now. So yeah. It's just incredible. And I have to thank you again, and I want to do this publicly, just for everything you've done for me and my family to help with me getting my podcast set up. For those of you who don't know, Cliff was the person who I consulted with back in 2010. When we first started, and he helped me get off the ground with podcasting, and he and I have been great friends ever since. We speak together at conferences, and we just, we're a mastermind group that meets each week. I highly respect Cliff, one of the people I respect the most in this world. So again, thank you for coming on, Cliff. Now, last year, since you were on, you've done a lot of things. Now, can you talk about some of the things that you had going on, and then sort of what you had to do to make other things grow? And I think you know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the last 2 years, my life and my business was pretty much focused on several main key sources of income / areas of focus in my work. So one of the things that I had going on that took up a lot of time, I was the director of podcasting for New Media Expo. I was doing that as a contractor for them, so it was an independent contractor role. And I was responsible for putting together anything and everything related to podcasting at New Media Expo, which was a lot of fun, and it gave a ton of credibility to my brand in the eyes of people who had no idea who I was until they learned about me in that role, which was really cool. Financially, it was extremely well as far as being compensated for what I was able to do for them. And I liked it. It gave me a lot of connection to a lot of people. In fact, some of the people who are my heroes, if you will, are I don't have sports celebrities that I kind of get goo over, but there are some podcast celebrities that I do, and to be able to just be on a text-based, I can text message any of those people that I used to look up to is pretty darn cool. So it was a great networking experience for me as well. So I had that going on, and that was probably a good 20% of my energy and focus each year for the 2 years was on that. Another thing that I had going on, and I have my shirt right here. I think you can see it says Podcast Mastermind. I created an organization of podcasters who basically had a focus on small business. They were creating an online business around their passion, and they were looking to grow personally and professionally. And what I did is I took the mastermind principle, Pat, that you and I have experienced so much benefit from, And I said, you know, I want to be able to take that experience to the people that I know that need it in this space, who can really make a positive change in people's lives. I wanted to help those people. So I created an organization where I had, at one point, I had 50 different members, and I had 5 groups of 10 people each, and I facilitated mastermind calls for those 5 groups twice a month for 90 minutes every month, and also oversaw an online webinar every month and a bunch of other things that I had going on for them. And that took up probably about 40% of my time. And then the rest of my time was devoted to something called Podcasting A to Z, which is a 4-week online training course where I teach an entire group of people how to podcast from scratch. And I literally teach them everything I know, every video tutorial, and I'm there to answer any question they have within 12 hours, and most of the time within an hour, of any question they have for 4 full weeks. And I'm there as their personal podcast coach to get them started. And that had been my most profitable thing. All of it has been extremely profitable, but Podcasting A to Z was my most profitable thing. And the Podcast Mastermind and the New Media Expo was just overwhelming in the amount of time, energy, and attention that it took from me. And I decided, you know what, there are some new things I want to do when I move into my new home. If you don't mind, Pat, I'm going to show you right over here. I have a 900 square foot training area right here, right behind my desk, and I plan on having mastermind events, 1-day mastermind events. I plan on having like a Podcasting A to Z boot camp weekend where I teach you how to podcast in a weekend. I plan on having people who are interested in creating an online business, and I'm going to bring you out here and we're going to talk about creating your online business and brainstorm that stuff. And so I wanted to be able to do new things that I haven't done before, because another thing that I'm thinking about in the future is my own conference. And so I had all these ideas of what I want to pursue to take things to the next level, and I knew to do that I had to actually cut some things out. And so I made the decision to step down from New Media Expo as the the director of podcasting, and I decided to completely shut down my podcast mastermind, which, by the way, those 2 things alone, they cut out over $100,000 of income to make that decision. But I have every expectation that I'll more than double my income this month or this year and next year as a result of making that very difficult decision.
Mm-hmm. It can be really hard for a lot of people to, put away certain things that they might even enjoy doing to make room for other things, to say no to something to make room for something else. I mean, that's one of the things that's been big on me this year, because there's a lot of opportunities coming my way. And I think it was Todd Tressiter from Financial Mentor who said this to me when we were in a mastermind group in Austin. He said, when you, or even, it might have even been you, when you say yes to something, it means you're saying no to something else.
Absolutely, and that's exactly it. If you want to say yes, there are a lot of people that say yes and they think, well, I can just squeeze it in. Well, usually you always have to say no to something, and oftentimes what it is usually your physical fitness or health and your sleep. Those are usually the 2 things to go. Right along with that sometimes is your relationship with your wife and your kids as well. And so it's great, I think, to try new things and to venture out and do exciting things that you haven't done before, at least for some of us that's within our personality. I know that is for you, Pat, and myself. And it's easy for us to take a lot of things on, but we have to say no. In fact, that's one of my key messages that I love to tell people, is that to be a successful entrepreneur, you actually have to become an expert at telling people no. And it's not an easy thing to do, but I would like to say that I've trained myself to be an expert at telling people no. And I used to be a people pleaser, and now I'm a recovering people pleaser.
I've been having a hard time saying no for all of my life, and only recently have I understood the power of actually saying no to make room for other things. There's a lot of things that I was able to accomplish in the last 6 months as a result of putting other things aside. A lot of you might have noticed that I haven't really done any or very many podcast interviews, which is something I used to do a lot of in terms of being on other shows. And it's hard because it kills me saying no, but it would kill me to say yes too. You know what I mean? So do you have any advice for anybody out there who is in creation mode or is close to starting to create something? You know, that's the whole theme of today's Let Go Day, which is don't wait to create. You know, nothing's going to happen unless you actually put stuff into action and make something, and not just start something, but finish it as well. And there's obviously those two parts there which are really difficult. The starting part, but then the finishing part of it. Do you have any advice out there for anybody who is looking to start and create something awesome?
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of advice that I could give, but I'll just think of one off the top of my head, especially when you're in creation mode and you're trying to implement, and the key word you said that really triggered this piece of advice in my mind is the finishing, and that is the word focus. I think many times when we get into creative mode, what happens is we think of something and we're like, okay, we're going to do this, and then all of a sudden we think, oh, well, I could also do this, and I could also do this, and what happens is you get started on the project that you originally set out to do, and you think of 3 other things, and oftentimes what I find, and this happens a lot with people who are starting a podcast, they say, oh, I'm going to create a podcast about this, but then all of a sudden they think, oh, well, I'm also going to, you know what, here's the thing, I'm still going to do that, but I'm going to launch this second podcast, and I tell people, say, no, focus on the one thing and don't do anything new until you have found a degree of success that you're comfortable with, because you really want, when you're creating something new, you want to give it all of yourself, and you can't give all of yourself to multiple things. And one of the greatest pieces of advice, when I first left my career in insurance, I thought, you know, how am I going to make a living? And one of the things that I was considering is like, well, I know how to do small business technology consulting, so I could go and find some small businesses that can hire me. I can tell them how to save money by cutting off their fax machines and having e-faxes, or I could help people remove viruses. I can help people shop for computers. You know, just crazy things, because I didn't know. And people said, no, Cliff. They also said, I said, I want to actually become the go-to person for podcasting. And so one of the things that my advisors told me, say, listen, when somebody says, hey, Cliff, can you help me set up a website? Just because you can set up a website, unless they want a podcast to go on that website, tell them no. Focus on this, because what happens is when, even in that area, if I become known as the go-to guy for creating a website and not just podcasting, it becomes too general, too broad. So my key piece of advice here: focus on one thing and focus on it so much that people know you for that one thing. And my quote that kind of goes along with this: find something that you love to do so much that you would do it all day long for free. Then do that one thing so much that you become an expert at it, and that people would be willing to pay you to do it.
Love that, Cliff. Love it. I think it's a great way to just, again, say thank you for everything that you've done for me, and everything that you're doing for everybody else too. I mean, how many of I can't remember exactly what you said, but maybe you can clarify that. How many of the podcasts that are on iTunes right now are as a result of you and what you've done to help them?
I know that I've personally helped nearly 6,000 of them through the video tutorials and stuff like that, as far as people who have purchased things from me, and then it's in the tens of thousands of people who just listen to my podcast, and I've helped. So it's pretty darn awesome. But Pat, congratulations, man, on your is this the second annual Let Go Day?
The second annual Let Go Day that we've celebrated. It's my sixth actual since the 6th anniversary.
It's your 6th anniversary, but yeah, so congratulations on this. I love the support that you have online in the community, and I really appreciate the opportunity to celebrate it with you. And yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow on our mastermind call.
All right. Yep. Bright and early. All right, man. Take care. Thank you again so much, and good luck. Good luck on the house.
All right. Thanks. You too, man.
All right. Take care, bud. All right, that was awesome. Cliff is amazing. Like I said, he's influenced me so much and has influenced so many other people. Again, you can reach him at GSPN on Twitter. So if you want to say thanks to him, at GSPN on Twitter. Again, the hashtag for today is Let Go Day. If you have any questions, feel free to use that hashtag, and I'm following them right now. If you want to keep up with the conversation that's going on, go to tchat.io. And put it in there. Actually, I want to show you something cool. I'm going to write this out. tchat.io. Now, what am I writing on? I'm writing on this really cool device. Actually, it has a reflection, so that's probably very poor because the window's open. So tchat.io to follow the hashtag. But this is a really cool thing I discovered lately. A lot of you know that I have this. A lot of you who've been following me know that I've been using this, the Bamboo Fun tablet, and there's other versions of the Bamboo which come with a pen, and it kind of acts as a mouse, so you can draw in like Photoshop or circle things. Like you could record yourself circling things and drawing things, and so I create a electronic whiteboard, and that's what I've used that for. But this is called the Boogie Board Sync, and you can get it on Amazon. I don't have an affiliate link or anything, but it doesn't matter. This is so cool because not only is it like a notepad, and I use this, for example, during podcast episodes to when I'm doing an interview, I'm taking notes on this. I mean, it is almost like the it almost has a feel sort of like it's from Amazon, but it has a feel like the screen of a Kindle, for example. And then if I wanted to erase, I can just simply hit this button up here at the top and it erases it. But this button right here is the save button, and this is what makes this thing so cool. I don't know why I'm just off of this tangent, but I want to share this because it's actually been really helpful. And I'll get to some of your questions in just a second, but I can write on this and take notes and stuff. For example, a podcast episode and an interview I'm doing, I can hit the save button, and it automatically saves onto a little tiny hard drive in here, and I can just plug this in USB into my computer and take that out, and it's automatically a PDF. It's a PDF file that I can share, that I can print. I could do any other cool thing. I can just archive it with that particular episode, so I'll have those notes in there for later if I need them. It is so cool. But another cool thing is this can actually act as a Bamboo Pen tablet. There's a thing on here where you can sync it up, and then it actually connects with the little stylus here, and then it becomes your mouse on your computer. So then you can use it just like you would use the Bamboo Pen tablet, which is really cool. Another cool thing about this is you can sync it with a computer screen or even your phone. So one thing I like to do, and this is probably the thing we use it for most, is I'll give this to Keone, my son, my 4-year-old son, to draw on, and I'll tell him to practice his letters or do math or something, and I'll have my phone with me, and you can sync it on your phone so you can see exactly what that person is drawing. So I don't have to be there and keep checking over his shoulder. I can guide him and teach him while he's writing on this thing. So there's a lot of interesting applications you could use for that. Another cool way I use it is I have some friends who have kids who come over as well, and I give them the Bamboo tablet, and I tell them I'm a magician or a mind reader, and I can tell what they're drawing, but I'm actually on my phone, and it always blows their minds. So I actually haven't even told them how it works yet. So they think I'm like a magician or something. It's pretty funny. But anyway, before we get to today's second guest, which is coming in 10 minutes, there's a couple things I want to do. First is giveaway number 2. So there's a giveaway I want to give out. And what I'm going to give away is a copy of, and there's 2 books I'm going to send you. And I'm going to give away this to 2 people. So 2 people are going to get a copy of 2 books from some of my best friends who have written books as of late, who have created something and actually produced. So you're going to get a copy of Virtual Freedom by my buddy Chris Ducker, who is actually on a plane right now headed to San Diego. And you're going to get a copy of Jamie Tardy's book, The Eventual Millionaire. I have multiple copies of each. I will directly ship them to you. And actually, I want to give away 3, so 3 sets. So in order to qualify for this, and it's going to be semi-random, but I want you to just share the link for Let Go Day and use the hashtag Let Go Day, and also put okay. Hashtag Let Go Day. That's obvious, right? And I also want you to share the link to Let Go Day, so letgoday.com, and put the quote, "Don't wait to create." So put "Don't wait to create," hashtag Let Go Day, and then link to this page, letgoday.com. So from there, I'm going to go back. I have the whole archive here. I'm going to go back and select 3 people who have that specific tweet. Again, the tweet will be "Don't wait to create," hashtag Let Go Day, letgoday.com. And hopefully it'll be clickable and stuff. So that is how I will know who qualifies for these, and then I'll pick 3 people at random who do that, and I'll send them to you. It doesn't matter if it's international or not. If you're watching this on a replay, I've already picked the winners. So I'll announce the winners at the end here. So let me make a note of that on my boogie board. It's weird it's called boogie board because I actually used to compete in bodyboarding, which some people know is also known as a boogie board. So 3 copies, and remind me if I don't do it at the end. So it's 3 copies, pick at end. Pick at the end. Cool. And then as a reminder, the Snippet app, so if you go to Snippet app on your iPhone or the web application, thesnippetapp.com, you can download my book for free, and that is using the coupon code LetGoForever. So that's giveaway number 1. Giveaway number 2. Last time, put don't wait to create, hashtag LetGoDay, and then link to letgoday.com. Awesome. I see some coming in already, so this is great. Thank you guys. And again, I'll pick 3 of you at random. I'll announce by the end of this. I'll announce at the end of this who those 3 winners are, and then I'll get in contact with you, or you get in contact with me actually. If you happen to be gone, I'll tag you on Twitter so you know to contact me. So it's not like you have to be here. I don't like, you know, the whole like, you know, oh, we're doing a raffle, but you have to be here, and then like that person gets called up and everybody hopes they don't show up because they want that prize or whatever. No, I don't like that. Anyway, now closing in on our halfway mark, I do want to answer some of the questions that I've seen, and so let me pause this. That's another cool thing about T-Chat. You could pause this, which is really cool. So let me go back to some of the questions that I saw come in. Shay asks, what was this called again, that tablet thing? This is called the Boogie Board Sync, and it's important that it's the sync one because it's the one that syncs to your computer or to your phone or whatever, and it also is, you know, I'm not sure if the other ones save and then you can download that, but I like the fact that it syncs. It's pretty cool. It syncs via Bluetooth as well. You might have seen them there's a toy store called Geppetto's, and they always have a display, and you can start writing on this. Some cooking stores have them too, so you can write notes or take notes or whatever. So that is the bamboo. Or not the bamboo, excuse me, the Boogie Board Sync. Yep. Okay, more questions. There was some other questions that came in. Question, do you find people in different industries or the same industry when you're looking for mentors, mastermind group members? Personally, and this is a question coming from H.E. Lee, so thank you for this question. I almost feel like this is an episode of Ask Pat. Actually, so I would actually recommend finding people in other industries. They don't necessarily have to be in the same industry as you. You can learn a lot from people who are doing things in other spaces, other fields, other markets. Actually, you can cross-help each other as well. I think if you were to keep everybody in the same industry, you would run into a lot of similarities with them, and that's not bad, but you're just leaving out the room for new things to come your way. I mean, it does help to have maybe one person who knows the market and the industry can help you in that way. You know, I have some mastermind groups with people in the same industry as me, but I love the mastermind group that I'm in that has somebody in the personal finance space. It has another person who is actually a traveling sword swallower, right? And he's trying to do stuff online, but I'm learning a lot about stage presence. I'm learning a lot about performing from him, so it's been completely helpful to have this person who's not even really, you know, he is online now, actually. If you go to remarkablyhuman.com, he's got some amazing stuff coming up in terms of interviews with his podcast, and he's just mind-blowing, actually. His name's Roderick Russell. But yeah, I would actually recommend trying to get with people who are not in the same industry as you, but perhaps are trying to do the same or similar things like you, just in different industries. And then there's also the question of, well, do you want like superstars in your mastermind group, or do you want people who are just starting out? And I think the best answer is you want to get people in your mastermind group who are 1 or 2 notches above or below you. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's a lot to be said with having people just a little bit above where you're at in terms of success or income or following, because you can learn a lot from them, but they're not so far ahead that they just seem to be doing things that are out of your league. And also for them, they don't feel like they're in a mastermind group that they're not getting anything from. That's why I only go 1 or 2 notches lower, because there is something to be said for having somebody who's a little bit lower than you, who can see things from a different perspective than you, somebody who's already done these things. However, you also don't want somebody in your mastermind group way below where you and some of the other group members are at, who just isn't really contributing. I mean, the whole power of a mastermind group is having people come in together collectively to help everybody else. I mean, that's the true power. And if I've been in mastermind groups before where there's some quiet birds in there who just listen, they soak up the information, they don't ever contribute, and when it's their turn, I mean, they're not getting that much help because they haven't really helped, or they just get kicked out. I mean, it depends on who's the group leader and what the rules are. So that's a great question, Ely. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, please let me know. This is like a giant QA celebration day. Here's another question from H. Ely. He says, "Hey guys, quick question, and I'm sorry I didn't see this when Cliff was on, but the question is, do you ever think about working in a shared workspace to get out of the house?" I love my home office, but don't get me wrong, it's nice to get outside or to go in a different place and work sometimes. I mean, I do most of my work here at home. Most of it currently is done at night after the kids are in bed. Just that's the way it is right now, but it's going to change once they start going to school, which is actually in just a couple months, which is scary. There's actually a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow with Keone's preschool teacher, and I'm like, wow, this is very adult or parent-like now. Like, I'm a parent now. This is crazy. Yeah, it's just I've lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry. But yeah, getting out of the house is good sometimes. I love working at cafes. For a while, for some reason, I just wasn't able to work in a space where people were talking, and I wouldn't like stalk or eavesdrop. But I was. You can't not listen to people, especially if they're loud and just right next to you. But I've been doing better now, and I think I put the headphones in. I'm focused. Focusatwill.com is a great site that's helping me focus. That's a website you can go to. I think there's free trial as well, not a tree trial, but a free trial. Focusatwill.com. It actually plays all different kinds of music that is, scientifically said to make you more productive, and it actually works. And so you can choose different kinds of music, but it's music that doesn't have any lyrics. Softer and more. I mean, there's different kinds. You can check it out, but it's been really helpful for me, especially when I'm in a co-working space or a cafe of some sort. It's really helpful. I love also working at the co-working spaces. It's really cool because you're in a spot where everybody is just cranking out stuff for their business or doing productive things, and you can't help but not be productive in those spaces as well. There's a great co-working space downtown San Diego, which is actually where Chris and I hold our one-day business breakthrough events. Called Co-Merge, which is really cool. That's where they have a large room where we could put on an event for about 25 people, and they have smaller conference rooms. I've gone in there and done some brainstorming with my team when I flew them out to San Diego before, and there's also just community space with large desks when you can just work on there. It's pretty cool. So look out for a co-working space in your area. It's really cool. Let's see, I see a lot of the hashtags coming in with the don't wait to create. So this is one more time. Put the hashtag LetGoDay and also put the message don't wait to create and put a link to letgoday.com. That'll qualify you to get free copies that I'm going to send you, physical copies of my buddy's book Virtual Freedom, Chris Ducker, and my other buddy's book, Jamie Tardy, who's in another mastermind group with me. She was actually the person who had me come on this mastermind group. The first person who ever asked me to become a part of a mastermind group that was virtual was Jamie Tardy, and she wrote a book too. So again, this theme for this whole thing is don't wait to create. So our next guest, who's going to come on very soon, he's created some amazing stuff this year too. And so I want to welcome all of you, Caleb Wojcik. Caleb, what's up, man? How are you?
Wow, that was like perfect timing. You were like introducing me, and I just show up.
I know, we didn't plan that.
No, we didn't at all. I just randomly.
Awesome. You didn't hear me say that and say, okay, now.
No, I didn't have it open in another window or anything. No.
Dude, nice. We have that connection, dude.
Yeah, we do.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us on Lego Day. How are things?
Pretty good. Pretty chill. Jen's out of town, but watching the Pip. The usual. Yeah. How about you?
Pip's his dog, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I had the family on earlier. I had Cliff Ravenscraft on earlier as well to share some things that he's created and things that he's doing in his life right now. And I wanted to bring you on as well, not just again to thank you for all that you've done, and you all also had a big role in Let Go, the creation of the book. For those of you who don't know, Let Go was filmed by Caleb. So he did all the filming of the interviews and all the anything film-wise or video-wise for Let Go Day, it was Caleb. He's just great work. You can find his site at DIYvideoguide.com for information on how to get started with videos, which is actually why I wanted to bring you on, because last year, what were you doing at this time last year, Caleb? Do you remember?
I mean, I think I was on this event last year, like exactly a year ago. But I mean, we were finishing up doing a bunch of videos for Let Go. We were doing a bunch of videos for Breakthrough Blogging. I was building stuff with Fizzle, and I didn't really do anything online related to video production. I wasn't sharing anything I'd learned at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all changed. That's all changed the last year. Now I do share a bunch of that stuff, and it's led to a good side income for me as well.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to talk to you about. So Caleb has a website, DIYvideoguide.com, and the interesting thing about Caleb is he was working a lot for other people before. He was doing a lot of freelance stuff, video work for me. He was also part of the Fizzle crew, Fizzle.co. And when did you decide that you wanted to have your own thing going on? What was that transition like?
I mean, even before I started working with Corbett Barr at Think Traffic, which turned into Fizzle, I mean, I blogged about personal finance, which was on the side of my day job, and so I've always kind of had something on the side. But once I transitioned out of personal finance and I started talking about entrepreneurship and stuff, and it was so similar to what we were already talking about at Fizzle that I kind of didn't have something that I felt like was mine on the side for a while. And then, like, I'd been doing so much video freelancing stuff, and I was able to speak at New Media Expo this past January. So going into that, I was like, okay, I'm going to shift, and anything I talk my personal site is going to be very, very specific, all focused on video production, doing stuff by yourself via video. So it was around the time of the fact that I had a speaking gig coming up, and I was prepping like a 75-minute workshop and all this like information that I've been pulling together of just all the random tips and tricks that I've been using and learned over the past few years, that I was like, okay, I need to pivot my own personal side stuff to that as well.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing about what you created this past year in terms of your video production stuff and actually creating a product, which I want to talk to you about in a sec, was that you didn't really have an audience that you built before, right?
I didn't have an audience that was like specific to the thing I was talking about. Like, I'd always had an email list. I think I started one a couple months into blogging and stuff. Like, I was only getting like a couple at that point. But, I mean, I was slowly building up my email list when I transitioned to, I was podcasting about entrepreneurship for a while. I went away from personal finance. So I always had like a list, but it was more like the network of people I knew online that really helped the product launch happen before I had a audience that was specific to like that topic, basically.
Right. Now talk about that really quick, because I think a lot of people either don't feel they have a large enough audience to be successful with the launch of a book or a product or things like that. How can someone leverage relationships in order to be successful at something they're creating?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you might not have the audience, like you might not own it, like they might not be visiting your website, they might not be on your email list or listening to your podcast or watching your videos or anything like that, but they're somewhere. And so you have to figure out where they're at. And if you know anyone that has people that would be interested in what you're talking about, like get in front of those people's audiences and, you know, ask for favors and stuff and see if you can guest post, be on their podcast, whatever. And, you know, part of the success of the launch of my product was I just reached out to like you, Chris Ducker, Amy Porterfield, people I'd like been building a network of connections with for, you know, years. Basically. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm launching this thing. And that's a perfect excuse for people to have you on a podcast. I mean, how many people have you interviewed like only because they had a book coming out? Maybe someone big like Tim Ferriss or something like that.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss. I got him on because he was promoting 4-Hour Chef. Adam Braun from pencilswithpromise.org. He came out with his book as well. So absolutely.
Yeah, so coming out with a product also legitimizes you a little bit. Like, okay, you know what you're talking about enough that people are going to pay you money for it. And it's a good excuse to get on other people's sites, and you can even share stuff. Like I took part of my product and I just gave it to you, and you just like put it on your YouTube channel. So that was like helpful for you because you get that question about ScreenFlow all the time. And so I just took the tutorial that people would pay for, and I was like, hey, Pat, you can just have it and put it on your site. So it's like helpful for both of us in that way.
Absolutely. Did you experience any fears when you're creating a product and then when you're launching it?
Well, yeah, I had this list of people that I'd built up talking about, you know, like 401ks and then like quitting your job and stuff. And like, I didn't think it was related enough to video. So I just had to trust that, okay, maybe there's people on the email list that I have no idea what they're interested in, and maybe they're not interested at all, and maybe they'll stop listening and they'll unsubscribe after you send them enough emails that are unrelated to anything they care about. But I think that eventually you kind of prune that list so it's just specific to what you're talking about. So if you're pivoting at all, like, I personally don't feel like you need to completely restart with your email list if you're making a huge pivot like that. A lot of times people are just interested in you, and they're interested in a lot of different things. And like, if you just started doing only food trucker stuff, Pat, like, you wouldn't restart completely because people care about you and your story and your journey and everything. So that was part of my fear, was like, okay, there's going to be people that have been following me that don't care about this stuff, but if they want to subscribe, they'll unsubscribe. If they want to quit following me, they can quit following me.
Right, that sort of relates to a little bit of Cliff's story when he first started podcasting about the show Lost, right? People were interested in that show because they were interested in Lost, and then they got to know Cliff. But then Cliff started to create all this other stuff, and they followed him. I remember hearing specific audio files that he shared with me back in the day, because he has a lot of voicemails come in, and he shared one to me that was like, Cliff, like, I started listening to you when you started your Lost show, and then I got to know you, and you have all these other shows. I listen to every single episode that you come out with, even though I don't have a virtual assistant, or even though I don't, any of this, or none of this stuff matters. I don't even have a podcast. I just listen to you. So there are people out there who want you, and I think that's also another thing. You're not the first person to talk about video stuff.
Right.
Right. There's a lot of big experts in this space who are just totally keen on video. What were your thoughts on competition, and whether you thought you could compete or not, or did that thought even come across your mind?
Well, I think it shows when there's that many people talking about it that it's popular and that you can build something around it, and you just need to find kind of what your different angle is. And so I think that I did look at all the different people, because I was learning from a lot of them, like how to do certain video things, and they all had a lot of filmmaking like experience or focus, so helping you make short films, learning like Hollywood style stuff, or they were so focused on like just like YouTube specifically. And so I wanted to focus on just shooting videos by yourself, because that's what I end up doing a lot of the time when I'm making videos for our Fizzle courses and going to do freelancing stuff like shooting videos for you. You're just like me, schlepping all the gear and figuring out how to do everything. At least shooting another person, you have that extra person to help you do it. But I mean, you do a lot of the DIY video stuff too. Like, all your first YouTube videos are all just stuff you made by yourself, like having to make sure you're in focus and hit record and stuff. So I saw like all the people talking about it and just said, okay, that validates that people want to learn about video. Like, where can I like specialize a little bit in it?
Let's talk about video specifically. I mean, you're obviously an expert on it. I'd love to share with everybody some maybe tips that you could share. Obviously, you have a great resource at DIY Video Guide, but I think there's a lot of people out there who want to create something, and video might be a great answer for them, because once you get the systems down, it's relatively quick. It's much quicker to create a course, for example, using video. It is just a lot of people are scared and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
How would you get somebody going? What's the maybe 20% they have to do to get 80% of the results with video?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing is just to start making them. Like, I've seen some videos you started doing recently using the Videolicious app on your iPhone, where you're just like out for a run and you're just shooting whatever videos that are like 30 seconds long, and you're just putting them on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing that most people struggle with is like being afraid of being on camera, and then that they take too much time. And so if you can start to get over the fear of being on camera by, doing selfie videos on Instagram or Vine or something, doing just random ones like that. I mean, you can be successful just doing stuff like that. So there's a film like screenwriter person on Vine that's getting pretty popular, and he just does little 6-second little tips about being a screenwriter or working in the film industry and stuff. And he just like does little selfie videos or whatever, but he plans what he's going to say, he just records them, and then he builds that small little audience. So if you can just focus on being on camera more, that's how you get rid of the fear. And then the whole time thing, just start with your phone or your webcam, or hit screen recording or whatever you need to like get started. Don't like keep all the equipment or budget or any of those barriers keeping you from making videos at the beginning.
How much would one need to spend in order to really get some good videos going?
I mean, you can make decent videos with your phone. The biggest thing with your phone is a microphone, and so you could spend $50 to $100 on a microphone and use whatever phone you have. But if you're gonna get a camera, you're probably gonna want to spend anywhere from like $500 to $700 to get something like a Canon T4i and a good lens with that, and then you could spend like $100 on some lights. So anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 is like a good starter amount of budget to get a camera, get some lights, and get a good microphone to record onto. That's kind of the three you need.
But you don't need the Canon T4i or the Nikon D90,
No.
right? You like you said, the phone is amazing, and our phones are amazing now. I mean, we have a video camera in our pockets at all times, but I think a key thing you said that I want to make sure people get is the audio that goes along with them. You know, that's an important part of video that most people forget about, is it's also audio, and you can have a great video. If it has terrible audio, people aren't going to watch it.
Yeah.
So we have a mic here. I think you shared this to me, or Chris Ducker shared this to me. It's this one right here. Do you remember?
Smart Lav.
Yeah, it's called the Smart Lav. If you type that into Amazon, this actually goes into the headphone jack in your phone, and it turns it into, it works as the microphone. The quality is amazing, and this is only, what, like?
I think it's like $50, $60, yeah.
So that and your phone is all you need to get started, and you know, you don't have to have perfect production quality. And there's something to be said with sort of the homemade-looking type videos. As long as the content is great and it's bearable and the audio is good, then I think you're set.
Yeah, I mean, when I was on your podcast, we did a challenge. It was like, share your video in the comments of the podcast session, and you know, like you and I gave feedback, and a bunch of other people gave feedback, and there was someone in there that they're like a mommy blogger. They do couponing and stuff like that. And they were just like taking their phone to show like the groceries they bought and like how much they saved and stuff like that. And it was super DIY, but like they had tons of views on YouTube just because people wanted to know what the deals were like immediately. And that stood out from, you know, just like writing up what all the deals were and taking pictures and stuff like that. She just recorded with her phone and talked over it and just like moved it around, and you know, it was enough.
Let's see, we're coming up to the 2:15 mark. If you want to stay on for a little longer, Caleb, we can chat more.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We're going to do our third giveaway right now, actually. But before we get to that, I do want to mention some of the comments here. Nikki K goes, Caleb! Hashtag Let Go Day. Sarah says, Woot, Caleb and Fizzle represented on Let Go Day. This is awesome. Oh, here's a question from Matthew Russo. He asks, what webcam do you use? The quality looks great, and I have to agree, it does look amazing.
So I got the one that you recommended, Pat. It's the, oh man, I'm going to blank on it now. I think it's the Logitech
C920.
C920, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and
920C.
And it's a big upgrade just from whatever's built into a laptop. I think it was probably like $40 or $50. Yeah, so it's not bad. And actually, I usually have it sitting like on my monitor, but then it's kind of like too high and like looking down. So I actually have it sitting on like a tiny little tripod on my desk so that it's eye level just for this presentation. If I'm getting on like a,
Sound, Caleb.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if people can hear me.
I can
Can
hear
you hear me, Caleb?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me. I can't hear you. I totally might have just, I was clicking on a setting and I totally screwed it up. But the HD Pro webcam C920, that's what we're using.
Yeah.
And I went to check it on my settings and it totally just cut you off. So I'm hoping people could still hear me. You said, can you shake your head if you can hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me or no, not at all?
Maybe I can't just hear you. Oh, I know what happened. I think. I sat on my headphones and I might have pulled the cord out. Hold on. Let's see here. So this connection's there.
How about
I
now?
can't hear anymore. Let me. Well, that was fun.
We're live, folks. This is what happens.
Okay, let me turn AirPlay off. Technical difficulties, people. This is what everyone's like. We can hear you both, and I'm like, okay, I can't hear anything. Okay, are you there?
I'm here. Are you there?
I'm here, but I don't know why your sound's coming out of my television. This is really weird. Can't think about it, but anyway, I think I could still hear you off the side.
Okay.
Cool. So let's go
So we were
back
talking
to
about webcam. Logitech C920.
Logitech C920. Yeah. Let me see. Let me move the camera back to. Man, this is really annoying. I don't know how that happened. Hold on. I'm gonna try to fix this. Caleb, if you want to entertain everybody for a little bit, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Okay. If there's any other webcam tips, let me think. I mean, the biggest thing is lighting. A lot of times your desk is against a wall, and you have like a big window or lights behind you, and so you look like someone in like Star Wars that's on the dark side or something. You basically need to put the webcam with the window behind you. So in this office right here, I have a window right behind this webcam that helps light me up pretty easily. I don't have to turn on any lights or anything like that. So just make sure that you put whatever light source you have behind the webcam. Another thing is a lot of times I see webcam videos where someone just uses their laptop and it's like pointing up at them. Try to raise your laptop, put it on some books, then tilt the screen down a little bit so you're framed kind of like or Pat is right now, and that helps a little bit with the framing of using a webcam. So the biggest thing is have good lighting. Just put yourself in front of the window like I am sitting right now, and then raise the webcam up a little bit so it's not shooting from below or like shooting from above like I was saying before.
Thanks, Caleb. I think I fixed it.
You all good now?
Yes, that was so weird. Sorry, everybody. It was like coming out of my television, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm good now. But thanks for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
So our third giveaway. So I already announced the second one. I'm not going to do that one again because those of you who missed out on that chance to enter that one, you're sorry. But I will mention the three winners of that one in a sec. But the first giveaway that we did is one that's open for everybody. So if you go get the Snippet app, which you can get on the web or on your iOS device, if you use the code LetGoForever, that code would be good for all of today to allow you to download Let Go, my book, for completely free. So go ahead and check that out. The third giveaway, I want to give away, I think I did this last year too, is a replica of the Back to the Future DeLorean, this exact one, not this exact one because I'm keeping this one, but one just like it, which actually is pretty cool because if you flip this down here, it turns into the Back to the Future 2 one, and then you can zoom out, the gull wings on the DeLorean open up. This is like the most amazing toy in the world. I don't let Keone touch any of this stuff as much as he wants to play with this. But I'm going to give away one of these. So Caleb, let's brainstorm really quick and see what we could do to give away one of these. Who should we, or how should we, what I like to do is have people tweet something, an answer to something, and I'll just pick somebody at random. I want to give everybody a fair chance who participates. I don't want to have to judge anything. But what could people tweet out using the hashtag LetGoDay? Maybe a secondary hashtag so we know it's prize number 3 to get a DeLorean. Oh, I know it. Sorry. I totally asked you for help, and I'm not even getting you help now. So for those of you who listen to the podcast, if you can tweet your favorite intro fun fact about me, just use the hashtag PatFact. And you could use Let Go Day or not, but if I'm gonna track the hashtag PatFact and tweet your favorite one, any one that you remember from any of the 113 episodes. Just any one of them that stands out to you. Actually, this will give me some good insight on sort of which ones people tend to remember. But I'm going to open up another T-chat just so I can see them come in. So PatFact is the hashtag, which will qualify you to get the DeLorean right here. And I don't know what scale this is. I think it's 1/18th. Yeah, this is a 1/18th scale. So at some point in the future, I want to shrink to a 1/18th scale.
So you can drive around in that?
So I could drive around in this, yes. Or I can just probably get a full-size one. So how's the Fizzle crew doing? How are Caleb and Corbett?
Corbett and Chase are doing well.
Oh, wait. Did I say Caleb and Corbett?
That's okay. Yeah.
Corbett and Chase. Sorry. You're all three start with the letter C. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and like going with the theme of like creating stuff, the biggest thing with us is we actually just recorded a podcast episode on this that's coming out shortly, but it's about like, okay, it's summertime, like you want to enjoy summer, you want to go on trips and vacations and stuff, like how do you balance that with actually like creating stuff and sticking to a schedule? So like what do you do in the summertime? I know in San Diego we're kind of spoiled and it's like nice year round, so maybe it's just we have the problem all the time. But like, what do you do to like stay motivated in the summer when you want to just like go to the park or go play outside with your kids?
Sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, like what do you?
Okay, sorry, I was looking at all the tweets. What do I do to balance, like, outside of
Like
work and stuff?
when it's summer, like work-life balance, like how does that impact creating and stuff? Because you're putting out so much stuff. You're doing the daily podcast. You do another weekly podcast. You're blogging. You're doing hangouts and stuff all the time. Like, how do you balance your work time with your play time, especially when it gets closer to summer or like when it's nice out?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. There's something to be said for something I've implemented over the last couple of years that's really helped with the family and the work-life balance, and that's creating boundaries or creating a schedule, knowing on certain days when certain things happen. That's been the biggest thing. So when I know it's a family day, I can prepare for that and check out mentally for my business. But then I also have days dedicated to my business as well. Days and hours within certain days too. So creating that schedule, and the hard thing when I'm sharing all this is that it changes. And like I said earlier, Kaylin is going to start to go to school later this year, and it's going to change everything. And so we'll have to I'll have to communicate with my wife, and we'll just have to communicate with each other to figure out what's going to be best for both of us, because we both need our own times to do our own certain things. And the cool thing that's been working out lately is, and this might be a great tip for those of you who have kids, maybe not, I don't know, it's just been working for us, is Monday is April's day. So April gets all of Monday to do whatever she wants. I have to be there to watch the kids, and I'm watching the kids all day. She can stay in and read, she can go in the backyard and just chill, she can go out to the whatever and do, meet with friends, whatever, doesn't matter. So that's really cool because she has her own day, and as a mother and as especially a stay-at-home mom, she needs that day, and that was something that she communicated really heavily with me. And I told her, okay, well, I'll take Tuesday, and so Tuesdays are my day where I get to do anything I need to do. That I could be in my office all day if I need to. I can go out and go to the gym midday instead of at night, which is what I usually do. I can hang out with friends or meet with people. I met with, this past Tuesday, for example, I met with Rick Mulready, and we had coffee together, which was really cool. And I didn't have to worry about who's going to take care of the kids or who's going to watch the kids, because that was April's job that day. And then there's, for example, Thursday night. Thursday night is always our, me and April's date night. So we always know that's coming, and we give the kids to Grandma and Grandpa. But in terms of, what do we do for fun, especially in the summer, we plan. We plan those days ahead of time. We know maybe 2 weeks in advance what we're doing. We're going to go to the zoo, we're going to go to this place or that place, and we know that those days are there. That way I know to not schedule anything on those days. And so it's kind of a, the thing about work-life balance is you think about a scale, right, and keeping that balanced. A balanced scale is balanced only at that one specific moment, right, when both sides are perfect. And when you think about life, things are never going to be perfectly imbalanced. So the trick is to understand that it can never be perfectly balanced, but you can, once it goes to one way too much, you can start to go the other way, and then sort of get it toward the middle. But it's never going to be balanced. You're never going to keep it 100% balanced. It might feel that way in moments of time, but it will never stay there. So you have to realize that things are going to change. You'll have to adapt and be flexible, and just be conscious about if you're weighing on one side or the other. I think I told a story last year on Like O Day. One of the big struggles I had when I was becoming an entrepreneur was that I was always thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. You can't ever turn that off once you're an entrepreneur, but there are things you could do to control it. And so we started doing things like having a schedule of when I was going to be working, or having a physical space that I would be in where mentally I could check in and out of work. That way, when I'm with my family, I'm mentally checked in with them and checked out of work. That was a big problem, and actually led to a lot of discussions when April and I first started learning how to live together, myself as an entrepreneur. I'd literally be talking to her, and we'd be on a couch having a conversation, and I could not get that email I had to answer out of my mind, things like that. And I know you're living with somebody who also, you're work from home, and you have your wife there. Do you feel the same challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps to have a physical space that's separate, but still I think that work stuff can like bleed into other parts of the home, I mean, we both, like, she has her photography business, I do my thing, and so like work conversations about business and entrepreneurship and stuff, it can bleed into everything. Your friends start to become entrepreneurs, so when you're going to hang out like on a weeknight to like get away from work and stuff, you end up talking about work stuff. So it's like you still need to have some of those boundaries and figure out what times of days you're going to be on and what times of days you're going to be off. And I mean, some of the hardest things are like when you're sick as an entrepreneur. Like if you took a sick day from work, like when you worked your desk job, Pat, you would like completely check out all day probably, right? Like
Yeah, I don't want
watch
to
movies, play video games, yeah, whatever. But like now, if you're sick or have a cold, like you might still do those podcast interviews. You might still like do all the email, and you just might do it from a couch or from bed or whatever. So it's like it's hard to turn that switch off like you used to be able to when you have a desk job and you can just like leave everything at work, which is what I used to do. But now it's just harder to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's going to be challenges of all sorts, not just on the business side of things, but in the personal side of things. Those things blend together, and you do want to be conscious about where they do and if it's okay. A lot of times it is okay. I like going out and hanging out with friends and talking business. I love to do that.
I do too.
But I think that's why we're great friends, Caleb. But there's also specific times and places where that kind of conversation shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. So those are some big challenges, and that's actually, I'm really excited because this weekend I have a presentation at Digital Co-Lab, which is an event here in San Diego, and I'm really excited because this is a brand new presentation, and it's actually called What to Expect When You're Expecting to Become an Entrepreneur. So it's about a lot of the things that one would expect getting into entrepreneurship, all the good things, all the bad things, and I'm going to do a lot of cross parallels between parenthood, which is I believe the primary audience of this particular presentation or this particular event are mom blogs and parent blogs and things like that. So to talk about in cross reference, what it's like to be a parent versus being an entrepreneur, I think it's going to be really cool and funny, and I have a lot of great stories to tell. So I'll be talking about a lot of these challenges that we were just talking about.
Cool.
So I want to mention the winners of the second giveaway. And again, I was giving away a copy of Chris Ducker's Virtual Freedom and Jamie Tardy's The Eventual Millionaire in a set. This is like the Pat Mastermind set, I guess you could say. So 3 of these sets, and so I want to congratulate, and I'll send a tweet to each of you later in case you weren't on, and if you weren't on, you wouldn't have heard that, so I don't know why I said that. But Justin Richardson, congrats, Justin. So that's winner number 1. Winner number 2 is Theater Folk. That's the @Theater Folk, I believe it was. And then number 3 is Heather Rigby. So thank you so much. You were randomly chosen to get a set of 2 books that I will send to you, which is Virtual Freedom by Chris Tucker and The Eventual Millionaire by Jamie Tardy. Thank you all for participating in that one. That was cool. So again, this Justin Richardson, Theater Folk, and Heather Rigby. Send me, or I'll hit you up on Twitter, and we can go from there. You can send me an email with your address, and then we can go from there. Caleb, any final words before we head out here? We're getting into the last 30 minutes of our time here. Before I let you go, any final words of wisdom for everybody in terms of the theme of don't wait to create?
I think the biggest thing for me is like within that theme of creation is like doing it the first thing every day. So like instead of opening my email or instead of like figuring out all the things I'm going to do like throughout the week, set aside like a half hour to just make something, whether that's something you already have in progress or you're just like outlining a new idea for even a blog post or a podcast or something like that. Spend that first little chunk of time in the morning like making something, and that to me it always turns into like an hour and a half or something, and because I like to finish things too. So it's just like if I could start making something at the start of the day, then I'm going to accomplish something instead of just be in meetings or like consuming stuff all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's really easy to just say, okay, well I'll do that later, or I'll wait till after lunch or something. But when you wake up and and that's part of your routine to make something happen for yourself, once you get started, the momentum starts to take you
Yeah.
somewhere. And I love that. There, in personal finance, and I know you know this too, Caleb, because you were in the industry for a while. There's a saying where you should, pay yourself first, right? When you have income coming in, whether it's from a paycheck or a business or whatever, instead of paying your bills, instead of, paying off your credit card, put a little bit of it to yourself first. Save it or put it in a 401k or whatever the case may be. Put a little bit, give it to yourself first, and make that routine, because then over time it's going to start to compound, and you'll have a nice nest egg there as a result. But you can have that same ideology in business. Instead of waiting to the end of the day after you get home from work or later in the day to then devote time to your business, you do that first. So pay yourself first, devote time to yourself first, especially if you have a job. I mean, if I had a 9-to-5 job and I was itching to get out, I would wake up an hour earlier and work for myself. That way, it's not the end of the day and I'm tired, I've already lost all my focus or energy, and then trying to devote an hour to myself. No, I want to devote an hour to myself first, because that's what's most important. And then I can share some of my time with somebody who I'm employed with.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. I would write my blog post before I went to work, and then when my wife got up, she would edit them, and then, so you like set that aside very first, and then you can do the same thing if you have clients. So if you freelance a lot, you have a lot of clients you work with, hire yourself as a client for like 5 hours a week or something, and set aside that time. And you don't really bill yourself because you're not going to charge yourself anything, but you do the equivalent of like hiring yourself as a client so that you actually get better at what you're doing and can like share what you've learned and all the types of things that you teach.
I love that. Hire yourself. That's cool. Hey man, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Take care.
Check out DIY Video Guide, right?
Yep, that's the product, and then DIY Video Guy is the website that I blog and share all this stuff on too.
Nice, bro. Hey man, good to see you again.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you over the house soon.
Yeah. See you later.
All right, dude. Peace. All right, we are closing in on the last half hour here. Again, thank you for those of you who have joined recently, or maybe you've stuck around since the beginning. You guys are awesome. This has been a fantastic celebration here for my 6th anniversary of Getting Let Go. And I hope you really think about sort of why I do this, right? Like, I'm celebrating something that is typically frowned upon or is a negative experience. And yes, it was a negative experience for me at first, but I'm celebrating this. I'm doing it publicly, and I'm trying to get everybody involved just to know that a few things. One, a lot of times when bad things happen, it can seem like nothing worse could ever happen, or that nothing is good is going to come out of it. And that's how I thought when I first got laid off. I had no plan B. I had no experience doing online business, didn't even understand any of this. And I went to school for 5 years for architecture. That's all I knew. And to get that just taken away from me was just ridiculous, it seemed. And but now looking back, it actually was the best thing that ever happened. Things do happen for a reason. So if you're going over tough times in your life, it's there to make you stronger, and it's because there's something more amazing on the other end. I truly, honestly believe that, and that happens in the micro, on the daily when things are happening on every day. But even in your life in whole, in the bigger events, it's those small things. It's those unexpected events that make amazing things happen. Truly I believe that, and that's one of the quotes in Let Go, the book. Now, a bunch of quotes came in from the intros to the SPA podcast, and like I said, one of you is going to win this DeLorean here as a result. Not this exact one, but it'll look just like this, but I'm not giving you this one. This one's given to me by somebody very special. So you're going to get a replica of the DeLorean. My favorite movie, obviously, is Back to the Future. And I want to send this to somebody at random who had mentioned one of their favorite quotes about Pat, or a Pat fact that I mentioned at the top of every SPI episode. So I'm going to go here and read some of these, and then I'm going to pick the one that that is the winner. And it's really funny because I asked you to do the hashtag Pat fact, but apparently somebody else is doing that for something else, something soccer related, I think. So actually Brazil soccer related, which is interesting. So some of the ones that were mentioned were, he sports the skinny tie at conferences, which is true. Let's see, your arch nemesis is the loading bar. I love that one. The Manny Pacquiao of online business, who can skip a rock over 20 times. Has to be a very calm day on the water, though, in order to do that. Pat's definition of success is playing with his kids. Absolutely. My mom is a black belt. Yes. She's scary, but awesome. Marching band and playing the trumpet. Any of the ones singing the Rapper's Delight one is the best. Jason, that one's awesome. That was actually one of my favorite beatboxes. So if you have any requests actually for beatboxes in later episodes of the Smart Passive Income podcast, let me know, because I really enjoy doing that. Okay, so I'm going to pick somebody at random here, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to scroll. I have a little scrolling thing on the right-hand side here where I'm keeping track of all these, and it goes up and down, and I can't see. I know there's a better way to do this. I could have a random number generator and do all that stuff, but this is just far easier. And so I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to land on somebody, and that person is, oh, that wasn't correct. I didn't scroll high enough for that one. Timothy Moser from Ace Productivity. He says his favorite time of the day is playtime, which is true, because that's what I do with my kids all day. So Timothy, you're going to get a DeLorean sent your way. I'll connect with you via email, or we've talked over email before actually. So just send me your address, and I'll have this shipped over to you. Now I have one more giveaway to give away, which is a sort of grand prize, and so I'll tell you how you can win that in a second. And again, it'll be sort of the same way. You'll have to tweet something, and I'll pick somebody at random. Of somebody who tweets using that particular hashtag. But this prize is actually really cool. It goes for $799, and I was very lucky to have the owner of this company allow me to give away this. And I'm actually going to be interviewing him again very soon for the Smart Passive Income podcast. So I'll tell you about what that is in a second. But I do want to answer as many questions as I can while I have you on here. And just first of all, say thank you again for everything. A lot of people, Caleb, if you're still watching this, we're saying thank you for coming on. Let's see, here's a question from Heather. She says, I'm 20 years old. I just started my own business. How do you deal with the disapproval of others? Many think I am wrong for trying. Now, you'll definitely want to listen to one of the most recent episodes of Ask Pat, episode 112, with Matt Donley from MasterSketchup.com. He was going through the exact same things. He and I were actually emailing each other. This was back earlier in the year, or actually earlier last year. He was talking about how this was in preparation for quitting. He said, "Pat, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have my own let go day. I'm so excited but so scared." And then a few days later, I guess he had done it, and then sent me an email back saying, "Pat, I feel like just terrible now because my coworkers feel like I'm letting them down. They don't think I'm doing the right thing. I know this is right for me, but I just, I guess he was just getting complete disapproval from others, just like you, Heather." So, let's see, where did your question go? There it is. And so, what he was talking about was just first understanding that this is your life, right? And that you want to take control of it. If you know that this is something you should do, listen to others, but don't have them affect what you truly believe in. And secondly, if there are people out there who are just really hating on you for these decisions, you don't want to be around those people. They're stopping you from doing what you want to do. I mean, we live in this thing called the bucket of crabs. Life is a bucket of crabs. If you put a bucket of actual live crabs out just in the middle, you would suspect that they would just eventually crawl out. But what happens is once one crab starts to try and crawl out, the other crabs will use their big pinchers and pull the other ones back down. They won't let anybody come out of that bucket. It's just the way it works. And we live in that kind of world where everybody's just trying to tear us down for whatever reason. A lot of times it's because people would feel like they don't want you to succeed because it would make them look like a failure. And maybe not directly, but they want confirmation that what they're doing is correct. And so if they see somebody else out there doing something that is the opposite or different, they're going to feel like that they're not on the right track. And so there's a lot of interesting things going on here. But first of all, I would say if there's people out there if there's people who are being negative, you should stay away from them if possible. If they're your family, obviously you can't stay away from your family. Don't just run away or anything like that. But just you don't need to talk about this stuff with them. It's only going to knock you down and make things harder. But what I would recommend is getting and surrounding yourself with people who do understand what you're doing. Surround yourself with completely positive people. Stay positive. And here's actually a response from Christina to that question. Actually, be true to yourself, set your boundaries, and stay close to positive people. So that goes along with exactly what I was just saying. Be around people who are going to help lift you up. I mean, you're surrounded by so many of those people right now using the hashtag #LetGoDay in this room. There's over a couple hundred viewers came in to watch. So again, that's probably the best advice we can give you. Adam Silver says, bucket of crabs. Hey, I was just saying that out loud. So cool. Let's see. Jason says, I'm glad you got laid off, Pat. And here's a quote from the Dalai Lama. Remember that not getting what you want is sometimes a wonderful stroke of luck. Absolutely. Jason, thank you for that. Let's see. Mike Sheffield says, do you have any advice on pricing out your product? My first product is a 7-module guide to getting traffic, leads, and sales. It says @_Mike Sheffield. Now, pricing is a very interesting thing. We could talk a whole hour about pricing. I do have an episode with Ramit Sethi about pricing strategies, and actually Derek Halpern also talked about pricing on a podcast episode. So if you just look up Ramit Sethi, Sethi, and then Smart Passive Income Podcast, you'll see that episode. I can't recall that particular episode number right now, but we went over a lot of pricing strategies there, and a lot of it has to do with your product versus products that exist. You know, where does your product stand in comparison with products that are already on the market? Because if there's already products like that on the market, you want to see, you know, what that baseline is, and then where you can compare. If you are contributing a lot more than those products out there, then you are valid in charging a lot more. There's also something to be said with the authority level that you've built for yourself, if any. So there's a lot of things involved there, and I can't get into the very specific things right now. But that's where I would go for some more advice. I mean, those guys are experts. Derek Halpern from Social Triggers and Ramit Sethi from IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com. Jason says, Pat, I just want you to know that you are one of the greatest inspirations in my life right now. Thank you, Jason. You rock. That just means everything to me. I mean, that's why I do what I do and why I am public with everything. You know, I just try to share everything to help inspire others, because it was others who helped inspire me when I first got started. I mean, I know exactly how important it is to get inspired, you know, because it was that helped me when I was first starting out. Without other people, without people sharing themselves as examples, without people to look up to, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And so I know, and I'm just paying it forward. I know that, and so I'm doing what I can to be out here, put myself out there publicly to help you in any way that I can, whether it's through actual specific advice or just knowing that this stuff is possible. So Jason, thank you so much for that. Mike says, thanks, I'll listen to those episodes for sure. Sure, awesome. Walter said, made the jump, #LetGoDay. Thanks, Pat Flynn. Now blogging and have a website thanks to your advice. Walter, congratulations. You have your own #LetGoDay as well. So cool. Let's see, just still going down here. A lot of people commenting on Caleb's advice to hire yourself. That is great advice. Congratulations to all the winners of the second giveaway. Awesome. A lot of you guys are so nice to each other. I love this. I love the Smart Passive Income community. You guys are just the best community online. Seriously, like, you guys are unbelievable. I'm just like looking at my video for the first time. My face is really washed out here. Sorry. Let me see if I can get a better lighting in here in terms of how bright it is. I had a window open. Yeah, that works. Let's see. Kyle asks, how did the podcast player launch go? It went extremely well, and you know, we only had 250 beta licenses available because we wanted to keep the group small to work with that as the test group, to not have so many people requesting features, and also to work with people to work out any universal bugs. And there's actually quite a few that we found, but we're so thankful that we kind of kept it to a minimum. All the customers knew what they were getting into when they paid, and they are all very happy with what they have. So I'm very excited to be able to relaunch that probably in a couple months once it's more universal. And you know, the customer service team that I've been working with, you know, my product developer Jonathan, and then Mindy, my happiness hero. She's amazing. They've been doing an amazing job keeping people happy, and you know, it's cool actually to see it being used on a lot of people's sites. I mean, it was probably the coolest thing I've ever created. You know, in terms of a product, and I know I've done a number of different things and shared a lot of different products, but specifically the Smart Podcast Player, it's pretty cool, because I will say, you know, when people purchase that, and I know we limited it and it sold out in under 24 hours, and it will reopen, but the coolest part about it was people bought it And if they didn't have any bugs, and there weren't very many, I think maybe 20% of the people had some incompatibility issues, but then now a lot of those have been fixed. The coolest thing was, they purchase something, and then they use it, and it's there. It's like they got what they paid for right then and there, because it was a software product that they used. So much like many software products and plugins we use now that we have to pay for. We pay for it, we use it, and we're getting what we pay for right then and there, which I think is so cool. As opposed to, a lot of people, especially in the internet marketing space, is here's a product, you buy it, X number of pages of information or X number of videos you have to watch, then you have to implement, and then even then, only a certain percentage of people are going to see the results from what you're teaching. So there's something interesting psychologically going on there in terms of the type of thing that you sell and the results that people get from what they buy. Now, that's not to say selling information is bad. Definitely not, especially if it's extremely valuable and helpful, and it can help. But then the trick is, how do you get those people to implement? How do you get those people who implement to find results? Because a lot of times it's not always going to be the case. You want to make it the case as much as possible, but that can't always be the case. And there's always going to be a percentage of people who buy information who don't use it, which is sad. But that's not your fault as a product creator as well. So just some interesting things to think about in terms of that. But the launch went really well. I was very nervous about the whole launch process and actually doing a demo of it using a Google Hangout. This was the first time launching a product using a Google Hangout. Got a lot of great advice from John Lee Dumas over at Entrepreneur on Fire, who does that as well. And it went out without a hitch. So I didn't have to pay for GoToWebinar, which is really cool. And actually, that is something that is different from last year for Let Go Day. Let Go Day last year, we used Livestream, I believe. It was Livestream or Ustream, and it worked okay, but it was kind of choppy. And I believe Google Hangouts was out then, but it just wasn't quite as, people didn't understand it quite as much. And then I also had to pay like $400 in bandwidth to use it. Here we are using Google Hangouts for completely free, and even the Twitter hashtag has been working really well. That's been another difference, and something I've been experimenting with was these live chats that I've been having. I used to have a chat role, sort of like a little chat room where people could see all the users who are logged in. That was one thing. You had to log in, and there'd be the thing about that was there's just way too many conversations going on at the same time. So I was really nervous to see how the Twitter feed or the Twitter chat would work. Again, if you're on letgoday.com, you'll see it live there. It's working out really well. And what I kind of like about that is you're able to more easily scroll through the conversations and see them. You can reply to certain and specific comments that people have made. But also, one of the byproducts of having the previous chat room, the chat role, I think chatroll.com is what we used, was that a lot of people were paying attention more to the chat and just getting really overwhelmed with everything and not really paying attention to the video as much. And for something like a launch, you really want people to pay attention to the video. So the Twitter hashtag and having people ask questions via the Twitter hashtag was a great sort of compromise there. So it's a great tip for you. If you're doing a live launch, Google Hangouts work, and in terms of getting people to talk about it, the Twitter feed or the Twitter thing like you see on letgoday.com works really well. And as a byproduct of that, because it's on Twitter and people are using the hashtag, it gets some publicity as well, and you can more easily have people share and bring people over to that page to see those promotions that you're doing. For something like this, I mean, I think it's a 50-50. There's something to be said with using the Twitter hashtag, something people are used to. It's easier to scroll through the conversation, but I really liked a lot of the connections that people made using the chat role last year. So I'm still looking for a perfect solution. This is good for now, but I really liked how a lot of people made really quick connections last year on the chat role. I think the one thing about the Twitter thing, it's a little bit more delayed in terms of being able to reply. You have to open up the chat box and then hit in your tweet and then put in the hashtag and then hit reply. As opposed to a chat room, there's just a field right there, the cursor's on it already, and you can just type and have a conversation just like an AOL chat room back in the day. So just some random thoughts from my head. Joe asks, what are your thoughts on asking for a name on a newsletter sign-up form as opposed to just an email address? Well, there's a lot of methods of thinking here. One of them being the more people have to do, the more fields people have to place into a form of some kind, the less likely you're going to get conversions, right? The more actions people have to take, the less likely they're to convert. And I believe the numbers do represent that in terms of collecting just email versus email and name. Then there's also collecting first name, last name, and email. There's other things you could collect there as well. If you have something like Aweber or Mailchimp, you could set however many fields you want. But in terms of getting the highest conversions up front, it would be just email only. But I personally like to collect the name and the email. And the reason is because I like to treat my email list like something personal that I'm sharing with my audience. And if I'm going to be as personal as possible, I want to know what their name is so I can say, hi, Joe, or hi, James, or whatever your name is. And I think there's something to be said for just seeing that in an email. It just seems more personal, seems more real. If you were a company that was faceless, that your personality wasn't really into it, I can see definitely a benefit in just collecting email. But if you are trying to make real connections with people, if you're trying to actually have people call you by name, then it's great to call people by name themselves too. And if you are giving away something, a nice lead magnet, or if you make it completely obvious that it is worth people's time to be on this email list that you have, then I think collecting a name wouldn't hurt. So those are my thoughts on that, Joe. Let's see. James says, Pat, I really appreciate what you're doing. I have a lot to learn. I'm going through analysis paralysis. How do I start? Analysis paralysis, just getting so overwhelmed with everything that's going on and trying to figure out what to do first is very, very common. So James, you're not alone. I'm sure many of the people here on the call right now can say that they're in the same position as you. And I could say things like, just get started, which is obviously true. You want to start something. When you analyze, it's doing nothing. Analyzing, reading, listening to blog posts, or listening to podcast episodes, all that's great. It's going to help you. But until you actually put something into action and start, nothing's going to happen. So that's obvious, though, right? So I would say in analysis paralysis, try to narrow that focus. I think that's the biggest thing. Something like what Cliff was talking about earlier. You can still analyze things. And I think if you sort of narrow what you're analyzing, that will help you get to a point where you can then eventually get started. I think analysis paralysis is very prominent when you don't have any direction at all. Do I want to go here? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Pick something. If anything, find a market that you want to help out, or start talking to people and discover what their pains, problems, issues, and wants and needs are, so you can start to focus just on them. And then you're analyzing all that effort that you were originally spending to analyze what niche to get into, or what to do, or what not to do. That could be spent within that market trying to figure out what and what not to do for them. And then you're getting more into the details, which is always good, and more into the specific focus and specific tasks. And then eventually over time, especially if you've listened to Dane Maxwell on Smart Passive Income Podcast episode number 46, after you ask enough questions, you'll understand, if you talk to that specific market, exactly what you need to do. Your first steps will be laid out for you, and it'll be almost obvious. So you want to get to a point, you can continue to analyze, but be more specific on what you're analyzing. Let's see here. Nuno says, Pat, thanks for all the value that you provide every day. You've been an inspiration for me and the reason I didn't give up. Dude, you're amazing. Adam Silver says, @RichJ, this is a response to the last question about analysis paralysis. He says, make the pain of not doing something more than doing it, i.e. being late on a payment. That's great advice. Understand that not doing something is worse, or not doing something is worse than just going and doing it, right? So that's really important. Let's see. Joe Crosby said, thank you very much, Pat. That's something that's been on my mind for last. Oh, that was in response to the previous question. Vegetarian Zen says, Pat, is April still doing the FBA? So that's the Fulfilled by Amazon program. Actually, April hasn't started yet. I showed her it. She's really excited about it, but there's just not enough time. She wants to use her free time that she has now, especially on the Mondays, to just not do work or not do anything, just to enjoy, And so, I think she'll get there once the kids go to school and there's time during the afternoon for her to do her own thing, which she's really itching to do, but she's still primarily focused on raising the kids. And gosh, she's doing such an awesome job like the kids are reading now. Keone's doing math and reading. He's like literally reading books now, and it's just incredible what the work that she's done. And even Kai, I mean, she's talking now, and just to see the way that April is there with them every day and sacrifices all this other stuff that she could be doing to make sure that they have a great start, it just blows my mind. I mean, I owe her so much. So April hasn't done it yet. I actually did some experimentation with FBA, and I haven't shared any of that information yet, but I will say I did go to Best Buy, and I just randomly, just a couple days after listening to that episode, that's SPI podcast episode 99 with Jessica and Cliff LaRue, they go to stores around their area, and they buy stuff that's on clearance, and then they sell it on Amazon. Amazon fulfills for them. The only thing they have to do is ship to Amazon, and then Amazon will store it and then fulfill it once a sales process. And they're making over 6 figures a year doing that, which is amazing. And so I actually was at Best Buy, and there's this app that you could download. It's from Amazon, actually. You can scan items, and it'll tell you the price that item is going for on Amazon. So if you find stuff on clearance and you see that you can make quite a bit of profit by selling a particular product that you see that's being sold for less than it is for being sold on Amazon, you can make a profit. So I was at Best Buy, and there was like a clearance rack, just one end of one of the little stations, and there was a bunch of headphones. And there was like a New York Knicks branded headphone. There was another, Dwayne Wade headphone and a Miami Heat one. So I purchased like 4 of them for around $19 to $25 each. But the reason I purchased them is because they were going for like 60 to 80 bucks on Amazon. I was like, wow, that's a lot of profit margin there. So I did the whole thing, and I'll talk about it in more detail once I get all the items sold, or I do some more experimentation. But I ended up selling 3 of the 4 that I bought, and with just a few hours of work, I made about 40 bucks, in total profit after expenses. I had to buy boxes, I had to buy shipping stuff, and that's stuff I didn't think I had to do. So I did lose a little bit of the profit from there. Again, I'm going to outline all of it. It was pretty cool, though. It was a pretty cool experience. I could see how it could be really exciting to go to a store, almost like treasure hunt, and buy a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm still learning from Jessica. There's a great course that she has that taught me how to do it, and it worked. And it is scalable. But it's not really my cup of tea, right? I don't want to have to go to the store all the time. But a lot of people are into that, and like I said, they're doing really, really well with it. Joe asks, what do you tell someone you've just met when they ask you what you do? The answer changes all the time. This will be the last question before I do the final giveaway here, because I do want to give time for those of you who are on to tweet about it, and then I'll randomly select one of you for the giveaway. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. When I meet somebody new and they ask, well, what do you do? I always say it's interesting. That's the one thing I always say. I go, it's interesting. I work from home, and I do a lot of things online. I own a number of different businesses that range from selling study guides for an exam to an iPhone application company. I also have a website that helps people start their own online businesses and helps them grow their online businesses. I also have a podcast related to that. I also do videos online, so it's a lot of stuff. And then usually the reaction I get is, "Whoa, that's a lot of stuff. That's pretty cool." And then I give them the URL, and then that's that. So that's why. That's what I say. It's very difficult. It's actually more funny to hear my wife or some of my family members explain it too, because my wife will be like, it's just hard. It's hard for her to explain it because it's hard for me to explain it. If it's, anyway. Clint asks, do I ever pick April's brain for any of your businesses or speeches? I know I said that was the last question, but I'll stay on with you a couple more minutes here. Yes, I do actually. She's a wonderful wealth of knowledge when it comes to a lot of things, actually. When I talked about my presentation about raving fans, which I did at NMX last year, she actually influenced that presentation a lot because she's a raving fan of the Backstreet Boys. And so actually she told me a number of stories about how she got into Backstreet Boys, which helped influence a lot of what that presentation is about. So yes, I do, Clint. Nuno says, Pat, when can we expect a Pat Flynn product like Fizzle.co or Internet Business Mastery? Well, my team and I are coming up with something. Now, it's going to be unlike. We don't want it to be the same as Fizzle or Internet Business Mastery. And you know me, I like to put a lot of thought into the way that things are shipped to you. But we are working on something. It's pretty cool. That is actually in the pipeline, but we want to get focus on the customer service for the Smart Podcast Player first, and making sure the app is updated, getting an Android version of the app as well. Larry, thank you so much for waking up 4 a.m. your time to celebrate with me, to celebrate Let Go Day. So I'm going to get to the final giveaway here before we finish up. And what I'm giving away is an enterprise package, I think is what's, hold on. Let me get the exact wording here. So this product is worth $799, and I got the okay from Clay to give away a copy of this for you. And this is a version of Lead Pages, which is the enterprise version. So a lot of you know I'm an advisor for Lead Pages. So Lead Pages is a product that I promote. It's a product that I advise, and it's a product that I used. I actually used it to help with the launch of the Smart Podcast Player. I use it to collect leads and build that webinar registration page. It's all in there, very easy. If you don't know what Lead Pages is, just head to leadpages.net. But if you go to the pricing page, so leadpages.net/pricing, you'll see that there's the standard monthly at $37 a month, there's a pro monthly at $67 a month, and then the enterprise monthly, which gets you everything, including live phone support and coaching program, A/B testing, lead links, lead box, which is really cool. And that's at $97 a month, so around $799 for the entire year. So Clay has agreed to give one of you a year of Lead Pages at the enterprise level for free. And in order to do this, I'm not going to mention the winner now because I want to collect these responses actually, and I want to have you send me an email. And I want you to send me an email. You can send that email to pat@smartpassiveincome.com. And sorry, Jessica. Jessica's my email assistant. She's going to get a whole bunch of these emails. But send me an email. The subject line, just put Let Go Day. And then in that subject line, first of all, just tell me anything I could do better, right? That's the first thing. If there is anything that comes to mind that you think I can do better, let me know, because I'm always looking to improve. But in order to qualify, I'm going to pick one of you who sends me an email with the subject line Let Go Day, and then in the email, after you give me a little bit of feedback, I want you to tell me about what you're going to let go soon. That's going to help you get to the next level. That one thing that you might be saying no to, so you could say yes to something else. Now, it could be as detailed as you want. It could be a big grand scheme thing, but tell me, it's almost like a pledge, right? Like you're pledging to me that you're going to make stuff happen. What is it that you're going to create? So what are you going to say no to so you can create something? I think that's the big theme of today is in order to create, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And so I want you to email me with what it is that you're going to say no to or sacrifice, or really put aside just for a little bit so you can create something. It doesn't matter what level you're at, even if you're just getting started. Maybe it's just creating your website. But what are you going to put aside? What are you going to let go of in order to make something happen? So I want to hear your interpretation of that and also your answer. So send me an email, again, pat@smartpassiveincome.com. Subject line, Let Go Day, and tell me your answer. And I will select somebody within 24 hours. I'll send you a reply, and I'll hook you up with Clay to get that free access to Lead Pages, the enterprise of monthly level for an entire year. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for everything. Just a few last questions here. Martin says, Pat, when will the NMX presentation be ready? That is actually, I got slotted for the keynote for NMX New Media Expo next year, which is really cool. You know me, I'll have it ready fairly soon, but I'm going to be working on it for months to make it as good as it could be. But NMX, I heard, isn't going to be until later in the year, actually, because there were some issues last year with having it so close to the new year, with weather, people getting stuck at airports, around the holiday season. So yeah, it should be later in the year, so I'll have plenty of time. Kyle says lead pages is the bomb. Christina says the Amazon Seller app is for iPhone only. Profit Bandit and Scan Power apps for Android and iPhone. Monthly fees for the latter. Thank you for that, Christina. Thank you all again for coming on. So I look forward to your emails. Again, pat@smartpassiveincome.com. Jessica is going to get a whole bunch of them, and we'll have to separate them out and put them into a folder. I actually interviewed her for a podcast that's coming up very soon on how we were able to manage my email list and get it down from nearly 10,000 unread emails to now hitting almost inbox 0 every single day. So look out for that episode. But I look forward to your responses to, what is it that you're going to let go to, or what are you going to say no to in order to create? Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys more than, just without you guys, obviously, I wouldn't be here. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed Let Go Day. Thank you for celebrating with me, and I'll see you again next year. In the meantime, I'll see you on the blog, on the podcast. Download the iPhone application if you haven't already. If you have any questions, just head on over to askpat.com. Annabelle, what's up? So happy to see you here. Thank you all. You guys are awesome. You can keep chatting using the hashtag LetGoDay. Again, if you use tchat.io, you'll be able to follow that conversation and chat with people. Thank you. Love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode of Ask Pat or the SPI podcast. Talk to you guys later. Bye.